An amazing moment from President Trump that really just shows how screwed Republicans are in the future. Let's put this up there on the screen. So he puts out a statement blasting the GOP's Georgia election law, saying Georgia's election reform is far too weak and soft to ensure real ballot integrity. Election day is supposed to be election day, not election week or election month. Far too many days are given to vote. Now, I find this really interesting, Crystal, and the reason why is because the Georgia law, Republicans went to bat for in the national media. They're like, what's wrong with this law? There's nothing wrong with it at all. It solves our concerns about election integrity from the 2020 election. And then they went out and they did this whole song and dance, and now the MLB and others are boycotting it. And they're like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this law whatsoever. And the entire GOP has come and defended it. Now, Trump comes in at the last moment after they've come out and said why it's the best law to defend against the problems in the 2020 election. Yeah. And he's like, this is a bullshit law. This isn't good enough. You need to actually go and do all these other crazy things, which they weren't going to do. It's very instructive to me because what he does is he sets these conditions where he's like, it's a false lie that the election was stolen. And so then the Georgia GOP has all these voters who are like, the election was stolen. What are you going to do about it? So they try and do something about it based upon a lie. They do this policy outcome. Then it invites this huge controversy. And now look, the law is relatively anodyne, as we pointed out here from analysis of the New York Times. But then Trump comes out and is like, this isn't good enough. You have to come and meet my other loyalty test. This is how you debase yourself over and over and over again. And he asks you to meet him where he truly is. I heard some pushback from this. Some of my more Republican friends, they would tell me, look, the truth is this law is the way that you legitimately address people's concerns about election fraud. And my response is when the concern is based upon a lie, and especially by somebody like Trump, where this type of law doesn't mitigate anything because those people's concerns are created by Trump. Right. Trump's concerns was not about election, mail-in ballots, or any of that. Trump's concern was Dominion voting machines. And then he lost the election. Right. And there's nothing to solve there because it's fake. It's sort of like when you were talking about with Josh Hawley, like, you're not going to get away with highbrow stop the steal. If you're not willing to go all the way in and be like we're banning Dominion voting systems. You can only vote from 11 to noon, only in precincts that have 90% white people in it. Like, if you're not willing to go all the way in, then you're not going to get credit for it. And this is kind of what Trump does. Like, he lured them all out onto this limb anyway, because even though you're right, according to the analysis of Nate Cohn, who I do trust on these issues, it's probably not going to have that much of an impact on turnout. Clearly, the intent of the law is rather nefarious. And it's based upon a lie. That's the thing. Based on a lie, instituted because of that lie, intended to do nefarious things and have the outcome of further rigging the elections in Republicans' favor. All of that is true. So he lures them out onto this limb. They take the total hit for it in the national media and in corporate America, and then he just chops the limb right off that they're sitting on. Is like, this isn't even good enough. So congratulations, guys. You really did a great job on this one. This is my response to people. Policy based upon lies never works. How did the Iraq War turn out? So Russiagate, same thing. So true. There is never any good that comes from policy that is based upon lies. Reality will always catch up to you. And whenever you try and do highbrow stop the steal, this is just the 50,000th iteration of that, you're screwed. Because guess what? Now, upper middle class white people in Georgia think that their party is, restricting the vote and all that, and they're probably still going to go vote Democrat. Trump people are going to say this law is not good enough, so they're not going to come out and vote. People are still going to say, if the Democrats win, that the election was stolen. And now you live in a hellscape. Now the corporate America is the arbiter of what's cool and what's not in different states. And the GOP voters still think that the election is completely BS. You've just fueled that, actually. Yeah, you've fueled it. There is no tying a bow on this. You're either for it or against. This is what lies do. It will always catch up to you at the end. I've tried to say it over and over again. And look, this is the thing, too. People believe this stuff. It's not a joke. Yeah. Go look at January 6th. Go look at those guys who are calling Rush Limbaugh in tears, who are afraid that their country is over and that the election was stolen and are upset at people like Mitch McConnell for doing anything. It's not a joke when tens of millions of people believe outright lies. And the people who spread those lies are the people who actually are responsible for this. When you're playing with fire, you're going to get burned. And that's what happened here.
Indeed.
All right.
More rising for you after this.